Day Show. My name is Ifunanya, and we are here for yet another inspiring episode of the Visionary Women series, where we delve into the journey of remarkable, trailblazing women who've dared to take the road less traveled. Like Robert Frost once said, that two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. My guest today embodies the spirit of that quote, of course. She is the founder and CEO, BMO Advisory Services, founder, Women Lifestyle Hub, and board member, Wema Bank. She is an accomplished attorney with over 30 years of experience in diverse areas of judicial science. She's a certified executive coach and founder of BMO Advisory Services, a leadership and personal development consulting firm that provides advisory and counseling services to women in top executive positions. She's a passionate woman about empowering and equipping executive women with transformational leadership skills to achieve professional and personal excellence and all-round success. She's also the founder of the Women's Lifestyle Hub, that's WLH, which seeks to provide support, advocacy, and a safe space for women to achieve balance and holistic wellness. She's a well-respected coach and consultant with a reputation for inspiring, motivating, and challenging executive women to attain personal and professional excellence. She goes by the name Bola Mata Okoh. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Such a thrill to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Super excited. And
Absolutely
thank you for
excited.
having me.
Looking at your story thus far, we could only imagine what the journey has been so far. What would you say has been the greatest sacrifice for you getting to where you are today?
I always say I'm a pastor by calling.
Fantastic.
I'm a lawyer by training. I'm a banker by default because I sit on the board of a bank. I'm a podcaster by design. And I am the Excellent Life Coach. Having said that, my journey is one that has taken me through many hills and through many valleys. And I think that's why when I look back today, I'm very proud of where I am today. So I got married very young, at the very young age of 24.
Wow.
I got married at 24, and not even a year into my marriage, we had to relocate to Jamaica. And for me, and I had my first son, within the first year we got married. And it was so challenging for me because I was a qualified lawyer. And then to find myself in a foreign land where I could not pursue my career. And for many years, I had to really be in a position where I had to put the interest of my family ahead of mine. But I'm so proud because I think that where I am now, it was kind of like an acceleration, because I felt like for many years, I really did not do anything. I really did not do anything. And I think for me, a defining moment in my journey goes back to like 3 years ago, which I believe we will get into.
Okay.
Because that was really for me what I would call the turning point. Because it's so interesting. When I look at what I've been able to do in the last few years, it all started in that one encounter that I had with somebody that has been very instrumental in the journey.
Wow. When we have conversations in this day and age about just your path and your journey in general, we are always advised that, your 20s is when you discover yourself. Your 20s is when you figure it out. Your 20s is when you lay the foundation. And, you letting us know that you were a qualified lawyer at the time, and then you get married, and your whole life is moved because you had to move. Yeah. I want to know, for you at the time, where or when did you discover what path you were then going to follow, knowing that what you had planned prior to that, wasn't necessarily following that path. So when did you discover, and how did you discover this is now the path that I know will take me to, my vision?
So it took a while, because we spent 4 years in Jamaica, and it's quite a journey. I found myself cooking and doing so many other things that were far away from where I envisioned myself to be. And then we left Jamaica and we went to the United States. And, at that point, my husband is a pastor, so we're pastoring a church. But because I kind of had a vision of what I wanted to do, even when we were in Jamaica, I had made that decision to go to the U.S., even when we were in Jamaica, to sit for the New York bar, because I recognized that would at least give me an opportunity, because we knew we were going to move to the States to be able to at least practice law, which I had really not been able to do since I'd gotten married. So I did. I went to New York. I left my husband. We had 2 children then in Jamaica, and I was able to take the New York bar and successfully pass it. So by the time we transitioned to the U.S., I was able to actually practice as an attorney, which gave me some form of satisfaction, because, like I said, when I was in Jamaica, I found myself in a situation where I had to start catering, because so you can imagine. I mean, I love to cook, but honestly, as a qualified lawyer, what I really desired when I got when I got called to bar was not to be cooking. But I found myself in that situation, and I think that one of the things that people have to realize in your journey of life, you must be resilient. You must be able to adapt. You must be able to reinvent and renovate yourself. You cannot because I feel like the reason a lot of people get frustrated in their journey is that they envision themselves in a particular way, and the moment that life does not take them in the way they envision themselves, they could fall apart, they could get discouraged. But for the many years that I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, because even when I got to the US and I was working as an attorney, it wasn't at the level that I wanted to initially, because the results of the bar were not out. And I remember, I always tell the story that I'd qualified in Nigeria as an attorney for well over 10 years at this point. So, and I got a job. It was supposed to be a paralegal job, because I had not, been called to the bar in the U.S. And I remember reporting for that job, and this young attorney, I knew she was fresh out of law school, was supposed to be supervising me. And then she was like, oh, can you come with me? I'm just going to show you what you're going to be doing for the day. And she walked me into this room. It had a photocopier. Had no chair, and handed me a box of documents, and she said, we would like you to make copies of these documents. And I remember that I was like, what? So I'm standing there. Like I said, there was no chair. I was standing for almost 7 hours, and people would come in and say to me, can I make a quick photocopy? I'm like, oh, sure. So, but I got home that day and I said to my husband, I'm not going back there. And I did not go back there, so.
Wow.
Yes, I didn't go back there, because, I mean, as much as I knew that I was in a transitional phase of my life.
Yes.
I just didn't want to make photocopies all day.
Wow.
As a qualified actor.
That's a very interesting part of your journey that I want us to go deeper into. But before we get to that, I know you had mentioned that, there are times where people, it begins to affect people when their life is not necessarily going the way they envisioned it to go.
Yes.
And at the beginning I had said, based on obvious indices, you are a successful woman, right? If we're being very honest, just reading out your profile, you are a successful woman. Now, success in itself can be some sort of like a blanket statement. Sometimes it doesn't, sort of like break down to the nitty gritty, the different parts or the different phases and stages of your life before you got to this place where we now have this umbrella word, oh, you're successful. And so it's safe to say that in different phases, there might have been things that were termed as success to you. And I want you to take us through that, right? So you've taken us through, getting married at 24, being a qualified lawyer, moving to Jamaica, and then moving to the US, and then having, being thrust into this place where that you were way beyond qualified for.
Yes.
What was success to you in those moments?
So For someone like me, I always say that I pride myself on excelling. And even though I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, I was determined to do it well. I'm also a Christian, and the Bible says, whatsoever your hands find to do, do it well.
Absolutely.
So whether I'm catering, I remember a lady, she had a baby, and she had said to me, "Oh, would you make some food for the naming ceremony?" And before I knew it, I was cooking for like 50 people, but I was determined to do it to the best of my ability. So there's a quote I always say to people, that you're only a failure if you see yourself as a failure. And so even when you're not doing exactly what you desire to do, what you envision yourself to do, your mindset is very important. So if you see yourself as a successful person, even within what you're doing, which is not necessarily what you want to do, you are successful.
Yes.
Because the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is.
Absolutely.
So if you think of yourself as successful, other people, I'm sure when I was cooking or when I was doing those photocopies, people would have been like, what is she doing?
Yes.
But, as far as I'm doing what I'm doing to the best of my ability, I define that as success.
I love that. I love that so much. Now, with that in mind, because I also see that as just taking a look at the glass half full as opposed to half empty. Perspective is very
so
key.
Yes.
Now, speaking about perspective, you had mentioned that at the time when you were taking into that photocopy room, and after the day's work, you went home and you're just like, I'm not going back there. You said something profound, that you knew that you were in a transitional place of your life. However, you knew exactly what you were going to do and what you were not going to do.
Yes.
There are people who find themselves in the transitional phase where they are torn between, sort of like allowing themselves go through the training period of their life, or identifying what I would allow and what I would disallow.
Yeah.
There are times where people say things like, well, I knew that maybe I was more qualified, but I also knew that was a training phase for me. And I knew that I just had to humble myself to just allow God do what he wanted to do in my life, or to just learn, because, we always encourage people to be learners. We should be all lifelong learners. So how would you advise people to make the right decision during their transitional phase, where they're able to sort of like distinguish between, oh, this is a training phase for me and I might just have to make do with that, versus I know what my worth is, I know what my value is, because I went through the process of developing myself to identify what I should be, earning, or what I should be, having access to or not. So how then do people make that clear distinguishing, decision?
So there are quite a few things that factor into it. So as much as I hated that photocopy job, if my husband was not at home that could provide for me, I probably would have gone back the next day. And so at times we find ourselves that in as much as you don't like something, you still have to do it because it's about survival. So in that kind of case, there might not really be a lot of choice. You might just have to swallow it and do it for a bit, but it's always, my husband always says this thing when he preaches in church, that people come in and there's what is called an entry level, especially now we are talking about the Japa syndrome. A lot of people are going abroad. There is the entry level where you're trying to find your fit, and it's really about survival. So in that kind of situation, there might really not be much flexibility for you as to what you want to do, even if you truly don't want to do it. But I think that as you get a bit more settled, you cannot get complacent. Because I've seen people that relocated to the US and they'll say to me they've been driving a cab for 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. So at times you can get comfortable, you can get complacent because you've been doing something to keep body and soul together, and you just like the certainty of that, because a lot of people don't like uncertainty. So if you have something that, okay, this is working, let me just stick with it. But you have to be uncomfortable to get into a place of purpose and destiny. You cannot be comfortable. Even now, when people say, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, I'm still not comfortable because I understand that there there are more things I want to do. There's still a lot more I want to do. I became an executive coach at I was 52. And I remember that my middle son said to me, was like, Mommy, I'm so inspired by you.
Oh, wow.
That at 52, you're still pursuing your dreams. So for me, it's about not resting. Just keep pushing. I did an interview with Guardian, and they asked me the question that as executive women, what should be our mindset? And I said, we cannot rest and say we have arrived. We have to continue raising the bar. Because guess what? Today's excellence is tomorrow's mediocrity.
Wow.
So whatever we're doing now, tomorrow we want to do better. So people say I'm successful, maybe, but I still know that I have goals that I want to accomplish in my life.
What I always intend to achieve each episode is hoping that the stories inspire people to dare to dream, to inspire people to understand that it is doable. It is reachable. Absolutely. And it is by stories like this that we create sort of like a roadmap to that place called success. Before we get to the top, talking about the journey, is it a lonely journey, especially when you're determined towards success?
I don't think so. I always say that there's this false narrative that we don't support women. I've always been one that I am very passionate about the relationships that I pursue intentionally. And many of these relationships are really to help me to be able to fulfill my vision and my purpose. I had an IG Live with my mentor a couple of days ago, and she was saying that relationships are an extension of your hand. Ooh. So that where you cannot reach, because those people have lent you a hand, you are able to reach it. So I have so many people in my life that have been so supportive, that have been a part of my journey. That, I mean, there are times in the journey where it's lonely, because there are times you find yourself, you have to make a decision all by yourself. But by and large, I have great friends. I have sisters. I have a whole community of women that, I lead, and I'm a part of some of these communities that are so supportive. And so I don't, lonely at the top. It's only lonely if you decide to walk by yourself. I was reading a book yesterday, and there was this saying. It says, if you want to go far, if you want to
go fast, go by yourself. Yes.
But if you want to go far, go
together with people.
Yes.
Wow.
And I truly believe it. No man is an island, or a woman for that matter. And so you need people. And I have spent all my life intentionally cultivating relationships that I believe will bring value to my life. When I wake up in the morning, I want to seek God's guidance for the day. So that's very important to me. When I'm in the right frame of mind, I do like to exercise. So I probably exercise. But I spend my day, honestly, just trying to maximize every moment of it. I always say that I'm probably the only one that doesn't watch Netflix, because I don't have the time. Because every day I always have my to-dos, and I really don't like to go to bed if I don't complete my to-dos. So it's really about planning. There's a saying that when you don't plan, you are planning to fail.
Yes.
So I plan a lot. Like today, I kind of knew the way that I was going to spend my day. I was going to be here, and I have a couple of other things I plan to do. So, but I find that a lot of people get into their day in a very haphazard way, without a plan.
Yeah.
And so they're just going from place to place. And then you just look back at the end of the day, and you wonder what you did with your day.
Yeah.
I have this exercise that I do. I kind of reflect on my day. And I kind of, in my mind, I think of what I could have done better, what I should have done that I did not do, because I feel like doing that exercise makes you more productive. So that's really very key, because I find that a lot of us, there's so many hours of the day that we spend in a non-productive way. But the most successful people are people who are able to plan effectively and channel every minute of their day towards their goals.
I love that. That is fantastic. And then he asked, what's your driving force as well?
Legacy.
Oof.
Legacy. So last year my mom passed away, and and I think for me one of the things that gave me great comfort was the life she lived, the legacy she left behind. And I've always been conscious of legacy and impact, but that really kind of zoned me in even more about making an impact and leaving a legacy that would outlive me. I remember that I was doing a strategy session with my coach about the framework for women's lifestyle up, and he asked me a question. He said, do you want women's lifestyle up to be an institution or an organization? And my question was, what is the difference?
Yes.
He said an organization most times will fade away once the founder dies, but an institution would outlast the founder. And I'm like, absolutely institution. Absolutely institution. Because like I said, I'm passionate about legacy. When I've spent the time that God has allotted for me in this life, I want to be able to go away and people will be able to say, oh my God, our BMO, she made such an impact in my life. So that's my driving force.
It's a very difficult place that we find ourselves as a nation, as a world as well. But just honing into Nigeria, where, there are women, I would just use women as an example, who are seeking success the right way. They have such a huge dream. However, they're still trying to survive. Right? It's like every day you're trying to figure out, how do I feed my family? Yeah. But then I have this big dream that just keeps tugging at me. And then there's this conversation about legacy as well. What would you say to women who are at the crossroads of, I need to survive, but then I have this dream that is, tugging at me each day. But then I'm being told about legacy, because everyone is advised to ensure that they're living a legacy behind. What would you say to that woman?
So I don't think that trying to leave a legacy precludes you from trying to also, make a living. Because when we talk about legacy and we talk about impact and influence, it's really the way you have lived your life that serves as a source of inspiration for other people. So it's all about how you comport yourself. It's about how you're seen. I teach a class on corporate image, and I always say to the ladies that you are a brand. Whether you're working a 9-to-5 job, you are a brand, and you are the CEO. My dear friend says you are the CEO of your brand. And so many times we have what we call your brand identity. Your brand identity is what you want people to be to know you, to know about you. And then you also have your brand image, which is really what people know about you. So there has to be a convergence where what people know about you is what you want them to know about you. So that's where you are making impact. That's where you're being an influence, when you are living your life and people are looking at it and saying, oh my God, I love the way this person lives their life. I want to do what they're doing so that I can also, accomplish the results that they have. In leadership, we talk about 3 types of leaders. We talk about positional leaders, motivational leaders, and inspirational leaders. And I always say that I want to be an inspirational leader because I want people to be able to look at me, look at my life, the way I live my life, the results I've been able to accomplish, and say, I want to do this so I can be the way this person is. So that is impact, that is influence. And whether you're trying to make a living or you have an NGO where you are totally focused on building a legacy, both of them are equally impactful in my view.
So even if you're trying to earn a living, you can still live a life of impact.
And influence.
And influence. I love that. That is absolutely brilliant. And I want to know, in your journey, achieving these great things that you have shared with us, and also ensuring that you have a legacy mindset, have you ever felt burnt out? Is there any time that you've ever felt burnt out and you're just like, I'm not doing this thing again?
Well, burnout, you will get burnt out if you don't allow yourself time to exhale. I say this and people laugh because I do a 6-week program for women, and one of the sessions is on fun and relaxation. And I say to them
interesting.
That there's a saying that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I always say that all work and no play makes Jacqueline a dull girl.
Okay.
And that my mantra is that work hard, play hard. So the people say work hard, play hard. But my mantra is work hard, play harder.
Oh, I like that mantra.
Work hard, play harder. And, my friends, we just like to have fun. I have a great group of, close-knit friends that we love to have fun. I mean, we're going away this year, and the next year we're going to Singapore on a cruise. So it's really about knowing when, you need to pull back and to say, I need a break. Because if not, you will get burnt out. You will absolutely get burnt out. It's going to be my 30th wedding anniversary next month.
Wow.
Yay.
Awesome. Congrats.
So we are going away. I'm going to, and
That's
I'm looking
beautiful.
forward to that because this trip has been so busy. So I'm just looking forward to going away. I'm going to a place I've always wanted to go to, Punta Cana. Yes.
That's going to be fun.
So you must really be able to be self-aware enough to know that, I need a break.
Yes.
I need a break,
Wow.
And I say this, self-care is not selfish.
Please, let's unpack that a little bit.
Self-care is not selfish. And when I say that, I always use the illustration of when you get on a plane and they're going through the safety briefing and they say, if there is a drop in cabin pressure, take your life jacket. Make sure you wear your life jacket first,
even your child,
before attending to. And I say that because if you are not okay, there's no way you can be of value to any other person. So self-care is so important, and I teach that a lot to the women in my community.
I love that. Self-care is important. Work hard, play harder. Self-care isn't selfish. I love that. We're definitely going to use all those as quotes. Congratulations on your 30th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. I'm a lover of love. I'm such a hopeless romantic.
I'm such a romantic.
So me too. And, just hearing that and then also seeing your success as a woman is amazing, right? There are times where it seems as if it's sort of like wishful thinking that, you will be such a successful woman and also have such a successful marriage as well, right? Because successful marriage is, something that is being spoken about every now and then on social media. You just see different things about marriage. How was it for you? Balancing it out. I was trying not to use the word balance. I was just like,
but I say that work-life balance is my passion.
Is your passion?
I teach the whole session on work-life balance.
Fantastic.
And so, it's so interesting. I did this IG Live. It was amazing with my mentor. And one of the things she said was that it's the reality of a woman's life is that we have to make hard decisions. We have to make very, very hard decisions. But we also have to learn when to prioritize the things that are important to us, which is family. And for me, I went through a stretch of my life where my priority was my marriage. And that's why I went to Jamaica, because I really didn't have to go to Jamaica, but it was because I know people that they would just have allowed their husband to go, but I felt like we needed to build a foundation. So it wasn't even an option for me to stay. So I went to Jamaica. So the first few years of my life, I was focused on building my marriage, and then my children came. The first two in quick succession. So for a huge chunk of my life, I was just wife and mom, Wow. And I say a lot. I have a lot of things I say. I say that you have to recognize the season of your life.
Wow.
And be focused on what you need to do in that season. And so in some seasons, you are a wife. Some seasons, you're a mom. And and accept the reality of the season of your life. Because I've spoken to a lot of career women that are very frustrated. I had one of my mentors in my office last week, and she was like, she's stuck with taking care of her children, but she also has a passion for her business and all of that. And I said, just enjoy the season of your life and know that it will not be like this forever.
I love that. Just
like we have winter, and right now in the States, winter is giving way to spring. There will be a time. I mean, my children, and my youngest son is going to be 23.
Wow.
So I have the liberty to really express myself fully. But it was not always like that. And so we cannot be too hard on ourselves. Recognize the season of your life. Recognize the limitations of those seasons. And just, I build a lot of equity, because people ask me now, you travel quite a bit. And I said, in 30 years, I've been able to build a lot of equity in my marriage.
Oh, wow.
So because there are times that, for instance, I said it's my 30th wedding anniversary, I'm going away with my husband. So I have been able to build equity by spending quality time with my family. And I don't have mom guilt anymore.
Oh, I was going to, get to that,
I spent many
mom
years
guilt.
mom guilt, but honestly, I mean, that's not to say that my children are still a big priority for me. The other day I was on a session and my youngest son was calling me and I said, please, I need to take this call.
Oh, I love that.
So they are still my priority. When I say my baby and people are like, yes, I'm like, yes, it's my baby.
That's your baby. I'm my mom's baby. I'm the last.
Yes.
So.
They'll be like, how old is it? Like 22. I'm like, they'll say it's not a baby. I say, but it's my baby.
It's my baby. I love it. Your story is so beautiful. It's so interesting. And I'm very curious as to the path that led to you being appointed as a non-executive member of Wema Bank. I'd like for you to speak to us about that.
So that is quite an interesting story because that happened at a time where I was almost slipping into this depression.
Wow.
Believe it or not, because when I had my first two children, their ages are very close together. They're like a year, 9 months. I have 3 boys, by the way.
Wow.
So at that point, I really thought I was done because I was like, I was always going to have 2 children. And then there was all this talk about, oh, you have to have a girl. Like I had some control over it. So I ended up having a third child.
And it was a boy as well. I love it.
So, but what I had done was that because I was working as an attorney after I had my first 2 children, but when I had my third baby, I decided to take a break and I went into real estate. I got a real estate license, and I was working as a realtor. And then that I kind of started to feel restless after a while to go back and do something. But I really didn't have the opportunity to. I just acquired some shares in Wema Bank, and they have said to me that I can nominate somebody to sit on the board. And it was like, and it was just before my birthday, because I remember that he said to me that I have an early birthday present for you. And at this point, I was in the US, and I was like, but I would need you to be in Lagos in 2 days. And I just got on a plane and I was there. So that was a saving moment, because like I said, I was almost in the throes of depression because I was going to be 45. I really wasn't doing anything with my life. I didn't have a regular 9-to-5 job at that point. I would wake up in the morning, get the children ready for school, send them off in their buses, crawl into my bed, cry a bit, feel sorry for myself.
Wow.
When it was about time for them to come home, I would get up, go make lunch, get them from the... So that was it. So it was really a defining moment of my transition from really not doing anything I envisioned I wanted to do to now be on a fast track. Because it was really a fast track after that, because when I look at it, everything that you would read in my resume really stemmed from that one call that my dad gave to me that kind of just changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow, that's beautiful. And it's so relatable as well, because there are people on their journeys where they probably tried, or maybe the card that life dealt to them sort of like brought them to a place where they felt defeated and just like, what do I do from here? And then there was this open door, or there was this great opportunity. And I like that. However, your decision to make the best out of it, I believe, is what makes the difference. Yeah. Because there are people who've also been giving opportunities, but, they've not really done much with it.
Yeah. And honestly, in as much as I got that call, I still had to go through the process. It wasn't an automatic thing that I got on the board, because I had to come. And because why he had said to me, I need you to come to Nigeria, I had to go to the bank. I had to sit before the board nomination and governance committee. They had to assess me that I was suitable for the position. Then my resume, they had to send it to CBN. So CBN had to approve it.
Absolutely.
So in a way, it was still the fact that everything I'd done, my background, everything prepared me for that position. And it's always important because there are many ladies or many women that would get an opportunity, but they are not prepared when they get the opportunity. So even though I was not really doing what I wanted to do, but mentally I was preparing myself. And that's why when the opportunity came, I was able to walk through the door. And a lot of people will miss that opportunity because they've been feeling sorry for themselves and they've put themselves in a position that when the opportunity does come, they can't do anything with it.
Wow. So be prepared.
Be prepared.
Because that opportunity may just come knocking.
Yes.
I love that.
Just like this opportunity came knocking.
There you go. I love that so much. As we sort of like wind down on the show, for those who are still trying to figure it out and they've gotten to maybe their 40s or 45 and they're wondering, how do I figure this out? I thought I figured it out in my 30s, but turns out I didn't. And it seems like life has gone so far for me to even find my way back. What would you say to women? And this is not just for women, because we have women and men who are listening.
Go get a coach.
Go get a coach.
Go get a coach. So, I said at the beginning that there was a moment like 3 years ago that was really very defining in my journey to where I am now. And I'll tell you that story. And I think that's really going to tie up nicely everything we've been able to talk about. So about 3 years ago, this was in the midst of COVID. COVID was still a thing. So I'm in the US and a friend of mine calls me and she says to me, I want to gift you a masterclass. I'm like, okay, masterclass? She was like, yeah. That it's called Speak for Gold and that it's organized by a gentleman called Fela Durotoye.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, Fela Durotoye? Who is Fela Durotoye? And I was like, oh, okay. So she says to me that it's going to be for 10 days and it's every day at, I think that was 7 p.m. Nigerian time, which was 1 p.m. my time. And I'm like, for real? That's right in the
Bam
middle
smack in the middle,
yeah. But she was like, okay, it's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. But like they say, the rest is history because I did attend that masterclass and I was blown away. And short story, I started to work with Mr. Durotoye as it was my coach, and it was actually because of him I decided to become an executive coach.
Wow!
Because I always say to him that the greatest gift that he gave to me was the gift of clarity. Because we sat through many sessions, and there were so many things inside of me that I wanted to do, but I just didn't have the clarity as to how to go about it. And honestly, when I do clarity sessions, it's such a gift because for you to enter into a session and everything in your head is just all over the place and be able to come out and say, oh my God, I get it.
Yes.
I get it. So yes. So go get a coach, 3 years ago, before I had that encounter, I did not have a coach. There was a point in my journey that I had 4 coaches.
Oh.
Yes. So I had FD, as we call it. It was my primary coach. But then I had a monetization coach.
Okay.
So that was the person that helped me structure my business. So I had a monetization coach. I've always wanted to do TEDx and I'm still on the process. Okay. I had a TEDx coach, you know. And then for my business, I actually had a business coach. And these are all the things that have made a difference in my journey. And people say, oh, why do I need a coach? It's just a waste of money. Well, if you cannot invest in yourself, nobody's going to invest in you.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm going to say. Go get a coach. Get someone to help you get clarity. Because for me, it was after I started working with a coach, I do have a podcast. I did say I'm a podcaster by design. I started a podcast. I became an executive coach. I founded my community, Women's Lifestyle Hub. And it's just been, such a revelation.
Yes.
For me to be able to realize that I can do all these things.
Wow.
So yes.
And I'm sure they are wondering, well, how do I identify the right coach for me? Where do I find the right coach? Who is a coach? How often do I need to meet with this coach? So there's so many questions about that.
Yes.
And for those people who wonder where to find a coach, how do they even know that this is the right coach for me?
My coach always says Google is your best friend.
Okay.
Everything is out there. Even on Instagram. Even if you went on Instagram, you put life coach, there's a lot of people. I come from I have a great community of coaches that we all interact. So yeah, and it's very important to find the right person for you. But
if you want to be a part of us, first off, follow us across all social media pages at Lagos Talks 913 is our handle, and of course, kindly like, share, subscribe, and make sure you're a part of the Lagos Talks family. I'm gonna